Hey folks, Adam Anderson here,
I'm Carrie Anderson.
and we are
Whole Life Entrepreneurship.
we are supporting families and business as they do a holistic approach to life, changing the definition of success
We're still working on the theme
to a
song.
life that works the best.
If you have suggestions, please.
Needs more bongos. You're right.
Look.
No, that was me being silly. We don't actually. Yeah, it's a fail. I don't think we needed more.
Hi guys.
Hey.
Good to see you. It's Sunday. Sunday. That means it's live day. Adam, how the heck are ya?
I feel like you're asking that in a particularly prompting way that wants to kind of describe the fact that I've destroyed my ankle and I'm wearing an inflatable boot type cast thing right now to protect it. But I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna talk about that.
So there once upon a time, there was this man who loved to do CrossFit, and he loved to do CrossFit, he loved to do wall balls, and he loved to lift very heavy things and drop it and it go bang, 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 bang.
Sometimes that man would put 2.5 pound weights on the side just to make it louder because they're made of metal.
But then, that man traveled all the time and he was gone to faraway lands for extended periods of time. And that man tried to come back into CrossFit and run a couple of miles just like he'd been doing it.
It's 400 meters.
That's even sadder.
It was around the parking lot a couple times.
Yeah, so shout out to Jonathan. You broke my husband again.
No. I take full responsibility for not doing the behaviors on the road that would prevent injury, and I am in charge of me, and nobody else
I would like to
takes
say
credit for that.
Jonathan has tried.
Oh yeah, look. The secret to a happy life is surround yourself with so many great people. But
People who know better.
The secret to a wise life is actually listening to them.
Yeah. So it appears that Adam has torn something in his ankle. We don't know what that means exactly yet. We're gonna see if maybe it was a little sprain. But right now he's riding around on his little scooty car.
Hashtag blessed. People stop and talk about it.
That's true.
It's pretty cool for an extrovert because I'm like, everybody's talking to me.
Yeah. It's definitely an attention grabber, which kind of makes me wonder.
Hey, I'm completely fine. I just don't want to do any chores around the house, and I could lay around and take long baths.
Yeah, so that's been our week. Adam was gone for part of the week, and he came back like this.
Hashtag fake an injury.
Yeah.
Hashtag live a better life.
So, I mean, getting old. What can you do?
Well, enough about me. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, so I wanted to talk about the post that I wrote earlier this week, which we actually talked a little bit about in last week's live when we discussed our meeting with the financial advisor, in which you were surprised at my reaction because all financial advisors are doom and gloom and oh my gosh, and
not you guys. Whatever financial advisor who's listening, you're charming.
Yes, you're fantastic. But what did you expect, and then what happened?
I was projecting past experiences into the present. So I have had many experiences with you that you have had a emotional fear response to the topic of money or the idea we were not going to make money.
Yeah.
And as I'm hearing the financial advisor say, yeah, you've got cash, but you're spending it, and that's not the thing you want to do. You need to go make money. I was projecting from past experiences into the present what your response would be. And that got me worked up. That got me panicky. And I was like, I gotta resolve her panic before she even shows her panic. So I need to go first. I need to jump in. I need to take it seriously. I need to show her that I'm taking it seriously. And then I owned the panic that didn't exist. She wasn't panicked. She knew things were fine. She knows we're on our own plan. And I really worked myself up into a panic because I thought that's where you were going to be and I wanted to match with you. And then...
And then the sky would fall for both of us?
Yes! But together. And, I'm going to meet you where you are. And the funny thing is the very act of me trying to meet you where you weren't, but where I thought you were going to be, I began to own those emotions, and I went through a whole 4 days of just oh, I gotta make money, I gotta do this, I gotta make, and never missed the opportunity for a crisis. I made a lot of cold calls. I booked some business.
If that's what motivates you. Well, my post this week, I wrote a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. I wrote about why my response this time has been different than my response in the past. The answer to that question is because my previous behavior of freaking out, oh no, the sky is falling, hasn't seemed to get us anywhere. But we have put into play...
Well, that's self-aware.
We have put into play some things that have kept me more up to speed. You and I have both worked at really, really, really keeping each other in the loop about what's going on. Mm-hmm. I feel more equipped to have a full understanding of what challenges we face. And so I was able to kind of lessen my reaction a little bit because I was wait, this is what we expected. As long as my expectations were realistic, then I was fine. And so I realized that as we're going through this startup phase, not just for whole life entrepreneurship, again, we are currently spinning 5 businesses. Also not our theme song. But that means that there are a lot of stress, a lot of stressful things happening all at once. And certainly it's perfectly reasonable for there to be moments of, but, I think that it's made it much easier for me to manage those reactions when I have the full picture.
Well, at least you have a different picture, right? You don't have the full picture of anything, but you have enough experience at this point that you can recognize trends and you can see risks, and you're not going into this thing blind. So I don't have to give you the entire profit and loss statement. I don't have to give you all of the notes. I can give you the highlights. And before, those highlights would scare the crap out of you. But now you're oh, I've been doing this long enough and I've put the effort in. I don't want to just make it sound like she passively hung out and by osmosis became knowledgeable about business. She busted her ass to learn some of this stuff. She went into some very uncomfortable situations where she didn't know anything, and she, womaned up.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, so then I wanted to use that conversation of this post that I did this week to sort of bridge the gap between that and the conversation that you and I had this morning about my startup, our startup that we are in together. And so again, we have been together
13 years.
No, we've been married 13 years.
Damn.
We've been
16
married
years.
13. Yes, 16 years. So we've been doing business together for about 14 of those, I think.
We have had businesses together, but I don't feel like we've really been intentional in bringing everything together, except for the last 3 years.
Yeah. And again, that's just been lessons learned. It's taken a long time. But today...
Graybeard.
Today, you had an experience where you were in a position to support me. Tell me how that has been for you, being the support person at this point, because we've switched a little bit.
Yeah, I do it a lot with the children. I don't feel like I was ever absent, but I do feel like part of my role is to make sure my schedule is free to be a taxi cab service, right? And so, but we'll dive into that a little bit. You know, when I think about you, entrepreneuring and launching a company and being intentional, and I see you keeping at it and getting depressed about results, and then, you know, finding an external or internal motivator that gets you back into the game, and I just see you growing. I have 3 distinct emotions. The first one is just pride. Like, I'm super proud of you. You're doing a hard thing, and you're doing it with class. Behind closed doors, less class, but in front of people, yeah, class. The second thing is relief. I have been the sole breadwinner in our family, and if I ever screw up, we're bankrupt. That is an awful lot of weight to carry. And so the idea that you are doing something that eventually we are going to monetize that will be bigger than anything I've done before is super exciting, to be like part of that with somebody and not having to like own it solo. It's a heavy weight to be the sole breadwinner. So I said I had 3 feelings. The first one was pride. The second is relief.
Have you forgotten the third?
I have. That's why I'm saying them out
Yes.
loud. I'm going to decide that the third one, because now that I said 3, I got to make one up. Pride, relief, and maybe a little jealousy. Because no, that doesn't work. I'm not jealous. Sorry. I thought that would be a good thing to riff on, but no.
Well, I'm curious, because the way that I've learned to support you in a startup, I think we are finding maybe a little different than the way in which I need to be supported by you.
Yeah,
so I'm curious if you are learning anything about yourself in some of this process of kind of figuring out how best to be a support person instead of being the consumer of support.
Rule number 1, the way you want to be supported is not the way they want to be supported. Rule number 2, intentional dialogue around what expectations there are and how that person wants to be supported leads to a happily supported person. Rule number 3, actually
you also don't remember that number 3.
No, actually, no, I got this one. Absolutely, then do the thing they said they want you to do.
Even if you are someone who doesn't like detail.
Or be honest and say that's not going to happen.
But I am someone who likes detail.
But here's the other part of it. I am used to supporting entrepreneurs. I have done that an awful lot.
Yes.
The relationship of supporting an acquaintance, a friend, or somebody I do not know in their business is night and day compared to supporting you.
Well, I would agree with that.
And so I have a lot of issues when I fall into mentor mode.
With me?
With you.
Yeah.
And then you're like, that's
I
not
think
the way
no.
I want to play. That's not how I want to be supported. You better listen to your wife. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm sorry, I've got a lot of patterns that when I hear a certain thing, I'm like, nope. All right, now I've gone into the equation. This is what they need to know. This is how all this thing works together. And here's the wisdom. And by the way, when I'm coaching other people, I don't have any emotional attachment to the results. I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for those people. I'm like, go ahead. But at the end of the day, I know it's going to be up to them to do the work. But if I look at Carrie and I say, what you really need to do is this assessment and this marketing, and she turns around and says, yeah, you should probably do that. I'm like, dang it.
Well, and to that point, let me remind you that we're not doing this completely separately, where oftentimes for someone that you would be mentoring, they are starting their own business, you are coaching them, you've got nothing to do with the actual business. There are a lot of things that you and I have to do together, which are made challenging by A, your other obligations,
Yes.
and B, you're traveling.
Yes.
But also C, just your
Personality?
habit
Oh.
of being the boss.
You mean the habit of being an alpha?
The habit of being an alpha. That's not to say that I never tell you what to do.
Only the strong can surrender.
Surrender, I've never seen you do.
I know, right? I'm not strong enough. I'm just not strong enough. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. It's a process.
Yeah. Well, so that leads me to want to talk a little bit about how we have found ourselves in a position of sort of disrupting the pattern of our life, our marriage, our relationship, our family's life, the pattern that we have been, that's been very, very well established now, at least for the family for 13 years.
Yes.
As you as the breadwinner.
I'm the breadwinner and I win outside of the house.
Yeah.
You are the chief family officer and you win inside the house and
Right.
in our social communities.
Yes, and that does not ever mean that you have nothing to do with our household or our kids. And it doesn't mean that I know absolutely nothing about the business, but it does mean that they were sort of mutually exclusive. Correct?
Yep, we had our roles, we had our swim lanes, and we stuck to them.
Yeah, stay in your lane, bro.
Just stay in your lane, broette.
So how do you feel like that's changed now?
You know, if you're swimming in your lane and they have those like floaty lines that go down so that you don't, someone took those lines out the pool. And I feel like sometimes when we are swimming in our lanes and I'm crossing to yours, I'm like bump, bump, right? And then sometimes you're like, so we do this. And here's the secret. This is what we've done that's different lately. We're wearing goggles in the water, people. We can look, and we're not swimming with our eyes closed anymore enthusiastically. We recognize that our partner is next to us and they're doing a thing. And the goggles for being able to see what's going on, we call the family business meeting. And I gotta be honest, there is nothing more valuable in our week, and we don't always do it. And when we don't, we feel the
We
pain.
feel it.
When you don't look to your left and you don't look to your right and you're swimming in your lanes and then you strut across, you will smack into your partner. The family business meeting is the thing that we use so that we have optics into each other's lives, which gives us the ability to help each other.
Yes. And when you are out of town and we're not taking that time to go over not just our work schedules, but the family schedules, I miss things. I mean, again, I am a detail person. I like the ins and outs of all of those things. Yet still, just a couple of weeks ago, you were out of town. And I made my 8-year-old cry when I realized I missed a birthday party he was supposed to go to.
And you really wanted to go.
He really wanted to go. And I was not only a single parent, but a terrible one. So
That's an escalation.
I know.
Well, don't be so
I
hard on
know,
yourself.
but mama guilt is a thing.
Mama guilt is a thing.
It is
It's
a thing.
society, man.
Well, so now that we are we find ourselves in an interesting situation now where we have shifted some of that dynamic to allow for me to do more of my own stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a actual thing I've had to put down is my mama guilt. It has been like, they're gonna be okay. Your mom worked and you're glad your mom worked. She's glad she worked. But because I just have been so present for them for 11 years, it's been really hard for me to give myself permission to have my own thing.
Maybe what we're seeing here is that I was getting provider guilt, and my panic reaction actually wasn't me projecting what you're going to feel. Maybe that was an authentic reaction to provider guilt that I masked by saying that there's a problem with my wife. And there was no problem with her.
I was like, wait, where are we going with this? What did I do?
You did nothing. But in my head, I was like, oh, she's going to be real panicky about this, so I better panic for her.
Oh, I see.
Right? And no, that was probably just me saying I don't want to deal with the fact that I feel guilty for not making money. And you're probably in the same boat where there's some really complicated stuff happening, and you need to put the mama guilt down. But I see you doing it, but I it's not that you put it down. I see you doing things despite having mama guilt. I don't see the absence of it.
I don't think it's something that you can put down exactly. I think mama guilt is one of those things that you don't just see in yourself, but you see mirrored by the society that you're in. And so there's a lot of, even within the mom community, there's a lot of, breastfeed, don't breastfeed, breastfeed for a year, breastfeed for 5 years,
Breastfeed for 10.
You need to be a working mom, a staying at home mom. You need an au pair. Au pairs are the devil. Send your kid to daycare. Don't send your kid to daycare. I'm a better mom if I stay home and do all of this. No. It took me a long time of momming to realize that there's no right way. There are many, many different ways. And none of them are wrong unless you're beating them and leaving in the street to starve. That's wrong. But otherwise, you have to do what works for your family.
And what works for you.
And what works for you as the needs of your family change.
Certainly.
Now, here's the thing. Many people, and again, no judgment, this is fine. Many people, our age, especially, I think, can
early 20s.
Right, can sort of find their groove. Here's my career path. Here's my thing. I'm done doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that for the next 30 years and make a pension, and that's cool too. It was a little different for us. We both decided to kind of tweak what we were already doing, but do it our own way. And that meant that as we changed, our family dynamic changed. We both had to adjust to that. The kids have had to adjust to that. They are not used to me working. They actually have expressed that they struggle with it at times. If we have to bring outside help in, they certainly would rather it be one of us. And sometimes we can facilitate that, but sometimes we can't. And that's okay, because I want them to see us changing and evolving and tweaking things this way and that to make it work for everybody. I want them to see us working for them, but for ourselves too.
Yeah.
I want them to see us do big things. I want them to believe that if they so choose, they could do big things. But if they so chose,
they don't have to.
They don't have to. That's on them.
Yeah,
How do you feel about some of that?
Absolutely. The idea, well, two things. You say we do it our way. I want to clarify, we don't have a plan.
We don't.
What we do have is the openness and courage to allow life to flow. And
I like that better.
Yeah, so doing it our way is we're going to take life as it comes and then we're going to flow with it. And we don't have a rigid system that we're going to let life crash against. Right? So, also, I think that the most important thing about what you said, and I'm going to rephrase it a little bit and see if it comes back to you.
Okay.
What I heard is what you're committed to really, really matters. And your integrity towards those commitments really, really matter. As far as our kids go, and as far as everyone else, what they choose to be committed to is their prerogative.
Right.
And nobody should be able to tell you what to be committed to and how you show up with integrity towards those commitments.
I would agree with that. Now, as a partner...
Ooh. You just took it up a notch. Girl.
As we are now as we are now going through a season where we are having to okay, you hold this. Okay, we are literally doing the hot potato dance for who gets what support.
Yeah.
So it has been so interesting to see how you and I have adapted within this crazy system we're making up as we go along.
So I injured my ankle, and then it wasn't bad, and I went to North Carolina for a workshop. So I was doing an executive retreat. I was hosting and teaching an executive retreat on conflict resolution, the entrepreneurial mindset, and self-awareness. And I was basically standing in a cabin with a bunch of guys going through some lessons, and I was standing nonstop for 3 days. And as I was standing there, my ankle began to hurt more and more and more. And on my way home, just changing pedals just was killing me. And the thing that was going through my head was shame. Shame that I was going to come home after being gone for 3 days, and I was going to add to the burdens that you were already dealing with, because we had a birthday party, we had this, we had there's so much, right? And I take a lot of pride in being able to help. I take a lot of pride in coming into the house and having a positive impact rather than a negative impact. And I respect the fact that she has an absolute full plate and she's juggling all these things. I'm going to start saying chainsaws. I don't like the idea of you juggling like a whole bunch of balls. I think it's going to be like juggling chainsaws. That sounds more dangerous and awesome.
Okay.
Anyway, so she's juggling all these chainsaws. And I didn't want to come home and throw another chainsaw at her. You know, I don't think this metaphor works.
I don't know, maybe it does.
Maybe it does, because it's like chainsaws are so much more dangerous. Like if you drop one.
And I could use it to cut your foot off.
Yeah, that would help. So that's the interesting thing. We're not saying we have this all figured out, because I didn't know how to express that I needed support when she's already, looks redlined to me.
So what did you do instead? Let's walk through exactly what happened, because Friday night you got home and you're like, no, I'm fine. I'm hobbling around.
I'll just take some
ibuprofen. I'll hobble around.
No.
He's a little dramatic already.
No, I'm
so
not.
It's hard to tell sometimes let's talk. It's hard to tell what's real and what's attention seeking. So
most of it is attention seeking.
This is what happened. As the night went on,
the pain
and I keep saying, what can I do for you? Nothing. Rolling around in the bed.
Hey, by the way, I really wish we would record that. Let's do that next time, because some of the sounds.
You're in pain?
Well, the next time because some of the sounds that came out of my mouth were truly surprising even to me. I'm like, I didn't realize I made that kind of noise.
Do you need something? No. Can I help you? No. Do you know what ended up happening?
Yes, I was here.
You pushed off asking me for help until what time, Adam?
Well, let's see. All the stores were closed except for the 24-hour Walmart.
It was 12 midnight when you finally said, will you go somewhere and get me an Ace bandage to be able to wrap my foot? And I'm like, of course. So I get up and I go to Walmart and I bring the stuff back and we get him settled and he sleeps. And it was fine. The next day, you said, I just feel so bad. I just feel so guilty about having asked you for help. And I said, you know what? Ain't nobody got time for that. And he's like, what? I'm like, no, not me. What I'm saying to you is, ain't nobody got time to carry around that kind of guilt. Let it go, man. I'm your partner. Is it annoying? Sure. Do I wish you'd asked at 11? 11:30 even? Sure.
How about even 9 o'clock?
I mean, that would have been fantastic. Was it a pain? Absolutely. But did we handle it? Yes. So yes, it's annoying, but let's move on with life. Don't feel guilty. Let's move on with life. And I just wish that you had asked me earlier, because I want to know how to be there for you. And it might annoy me. It might. It doesn't change anything.
But that's okay if you're in a relationship and a partnership.
How many times have I asked you for something and it annoyed you?
Not a one.
Good answer.
I drained a wound drain. I had to change the thing as like body parts.
Anyway. That would need some clarification.
Can't. It's a HIPAA violation. Can't talk about Can't talk about it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Anything you'd like to add as we wrap up?
I'm saying that the strength of your partnership is going to be how much you are able to annoy your partner and know that it's okay. Your ability to say, I want to be able to support you, but I also need something from you. Being able to have that conversation is a true sign. And you don't have to do it right all the time.
Right.
But for me, I really did find that it was difficult. I find a hard time asking for help. I really do.
Well, and I would like to say, on the other side of that, is that, yes, I am very busy. Yes, I have a lot of things going on. And yes, to be asked for one more thing is super annoying.
Well,
But while you are saying, I need to ask for help, what I need to be saying to myself is, I want to help this person. I love this person. I want to be there for this person. I want to be a partner for this person. Yes, it's annoying, but you still have to. And that's how you show love.
so I want to throw something out there that you do, and it is not going to put you in a good light.
Oh,
But
great.
I feel that it's important.
My dead face?
No, I feel like it's important. No, yeah, that one is that's how she handles it. But
I will do that for you.
Carrie is a bird in flight. When she's moving from point A to point B, do not stop the bird.
I was like, a bird in flight? What's a bird in flight?
Yeah, it's a burden. It's
bird
it's like no, it's a
flight.
It's a flight of beers that you must drink. And it's a bird in flight. No, she is a bird in flight, and that bird does not want to stop from point A to point B. And we have been trained. The children and I have been trained to not physically get in her way. To like try to get a hug or something like that. She says, yes, I love you, but I am doing my thing, right? And that's completely okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Hugs can happen at point B, but not between point A to point B. So when I don't see a safe place to raise my hand that I need help because you're moving constantly, that's me not feeling like I can stop you in flight. And that's not a thing that is necessarily your fault. That is a perception of me that I don't know how to stop this beautiful bird going from point A to point B to, in my opinion, whine. Meaning I also devalue my needs more than what she's currently working at.
Can I make a suggestion?
I didn't want to say this. I didn't want to start the thing.
We're supposed to be wrapping up.
We have a good Sunday, man.
May I make a suggestion?
Golly, I hope so.
When my kids were tiny, and they still do it some, I would say, if you want to interrupt, if you want to speak to me while I'm speaking to another adult, you can say, or
just put your hand on my shoulder.
Just put your hand on my shoulder, and I will finish whatever sentence I am saying to this adult, and I will turn to you. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to be there for you. I don't want to be interrupted because that is rude and because there are many things going on. May I suggest that you just sit there until you get called upon instead of inserting yourself at the most inopportune of times.
Very well.
Say,
very well.
12 midnight.
Very well. I will attempt this new thing, but just understand there is a flaw in the logic of me touching you like this. I understand you said raise your hand, but my joke doesn't work unless I do this. My foot's broken, so I can't catch you. So raising the hand was a good idea. All right, guys, we're done. Look forward to hanging out with you guys later.
Yes.
And hey, enjoy the journey. Success is in striving, not in arriving.
Exactly.
So, well done, all y'all out there, as they say.
All y'all.
All y'all. Bye.
He doesn't say it right.
I don't want to.